All right. It says that we are live. Hey, everyone. I can't actually check that because.
It says live for me.
All right.
I can see it.
I can see it on my iPad. So we are good to go. Welcome to another episode of Gotham City Chronicles. Tonight we're going to be talking about the start of the new 52 Batman run by Scott Snyder, The Court of Owls. And with me, as always, is Kavi, Comic Books NYC. Say hello, man.
What is up? It's Comic Books NYC here. I'm glad we got to 4 episodes, bro. I mean,
I know.
oh yeah, man.
It won a month.
Yeah, exactly. One a month. Steady but surely, we'll get to like 25 episodes in the years to come. But episode 4 feels good.
That's
and
right.
It feels good to have another guest this week, Mr. Burke Nasty over here.
What's up, guys? How's it going? Burke Nasty.
We're good.
Hello, Midwestern here with JP. Met him in person. What's up with that? Perry, Caleb, Hialeah, Mark, Unruly. What's up? I'm excited to join.
Unruly hasn't read it yet.
He hasn't read it? What? Dude.
Unruly has not read it yet. We will be spoiling. So
I'm excited to be on here.
Standing have more often. He's already calling out the chat. I'm terrible about remembering to call out the chat. So
they all came in all at the exact same time.
He's a pro. He's a total pro.
There you go. So for those of you who have not seen one of our Gotham City Chronicles things, we do not read through the story. We kind of just hit our favorite points. We're going to talk a little bit about the art, the writing, our overall thoughts and feelings about the story, and then we'll pick our favorite issue, favorite cover, where it kind of ranks in our Batman stories, that kind of stuff toward the end. So, without further ado, how about just your guys' Kavi, I know you said this is one of the Batman stories you had not read as often.
Yeah, I've only read it. Okay, so prior to me whipping out the trades, because I have the first 3 volumes of the New 52 Batman trades, and arguably the Court of Owls happens in volume 1 and half of volume 2. You know what I mean? Whatever. We can debate that a little bit later because I feel like the way DC manufactured the volume 2 trade is a little bit weird. Because the way that they threw in the annual there, and I guess there's a connection, but having only read it once, a long ass time ago, it kind of confused me a little bit. But yes, you're right. I have not read it that often, so this definitely was. It wasn't necessarily even a reread for me. It was almost like a first time read because it had been that long. And I don't know how much of it I really retained the first time. So it was almost like reading it for the first time again.
I would say I was in a similar position in the fact that this was back when I was collecting digitally. I have them all digitally. I read it, I think twice, read through it and then I reread it, but basically fairly close to the same time. Yeah. So while I remembered the big story points, there was a lot of details that were completely new to me again this time, that I had forgotten completely. So where are you at on this, Burke? I think this is a little more maybe of a story you've read a little more often than us.
So I don't read stories very often or books very often, but I have read the Court of Owls storyline probably 4 times.
Wow.
Okay.
And the first time I read it was 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago, in trade paperback form, and that's why I like reading them anyways, because you can just go straight through them without feeling like you're gonna mess them up and whatnot, and also you can get more accomplished in that amount of time. But yeah, I've read it 4 times, and I read it again last night, finished it today, so that way I could be fresh up on my thinking. And every time I read it, I catch something new that I did not see the first time. And I got a couple things I'm going to talk about when we get to that area.
Yeah, and I do think, where do you want to start? You guys want to start with the art? Capullo's
art?
I
mean, I like starting with the art personally. I mean, I think I'm a big fan of Capullo's work in general. It was nice. It was nice kind of taking a look back at some of his, I guess, technically earlier Batman work.
Right.
I wouldn't put it necessarily like past like Jim Lee Hush interior artwork as far as like my all-time favorites, but it's pretty up there. I think as far as especially the interior art and some of the covers. I actually think that's the strongest part of the series for me. At least the what I've read of the New 52. I've not read the entire New 52, which is something we were talking about previously. But when it comes to just this, 10 issue, 12 issue story arc, I really enjoyed the artwork quite a bit.
I would agree. I really like Capullo is one of those ones that like I like, but he never really makes my list of like favorite artists, if that makes sense.
Same.
At all. Like I feel like he's just really solid.
Right.
There are a few aspects of what he does that I don't particularly like, but it's just really his style that doesn't really match with. It's not necessarily anything.
Such as like, name specifics at this point.
Okay, so for me, like, and this is just a personal like. I think his faces are a little bit too similar, if that makes any sense. Like, there's a scene at the toward the very beginning, where like he and Dick come upstairs, and you see like Tim and Damien's face, and you see all their faces, and then they go into the party, and like they're meeting Lincoln March and all these other characters, and I feel like his faces are a little bit indistinct, a little bit generic, just for me, like in these big scenes, that he doesn't do enough to.
There were certain scenes where like you have Bruce Wayne like kind of wearing like what's it called, a robe or whatever, where he kind of looked like Scott Free to me from Mr. Miracle.
Right.
But the way Mitch Gerrits draws Scott Free, so I mean, for some reason, I don't know why that popped into my head, but I kind of made that comparison at some point along the line in the story. I was like, I don't know. Even though it didn't really like take me out of the story or anything. I especially like the way he draws Alfred.
No, I do think Alfred would be an exception to that. Alfred and Gordon are maybe the two exceptions to that in the whole book. I feel like because almost every other characters look way more alike than they should.
I feel like a lot of other Batman artists don't spend as much time on the Alfred character.
Right.
It feels like he has really does him justice, at least for my taste.
I do think like when he's in the cowl, I think like Capullo excels. Like once he's in costume, but I do feel like just when you can see his whole face, I don't know, it just looks very generic.
Yeah.
Guy face to me instead of like distinctly Bruce Wayne. But that's just my little nitpick.
I disagree.
Yes. Wait.
No, you definitely disagree.
He and Lincoln March look the same. Like at the beginning here, let me see if I can find it here. But
I didn't have any issues telling them apart per se, but I know what you're trying to get at.
Like they do look like similar in that picture right there, but like I disagree because after he is down there at the Court of Owl's Talons for like, what did they say? It was like a week.
A week.
Yeah, and he comes out at the end, and he's got beard and everything, so you can tell that he's
right. I want to know what was in the water. Like, what's in that water? Like, he's down there a week. He's got no food. He's got no water. I'm sorry. I'm jumping straight to a plot point now, but it's in my head, so I'm going to do it.
So, as you can see there, he's got a lot of facial hair going on. And this whole scene, his face almost looks different here, in my opinion. But, like, overall, I hear what you guys are saying, but I do love his artwork a lot.
I mean, I'm more in your column where I didn't necessarily have any specific criticism. It's just really solid stuff. It's like really just good work,
I do agree that
clean work.
His covers are better than the inside, even though his inside is amazing. The only thing that I do not like, and I've felt this way for a while, I do not like the way that he draws like this area of the cowl.
The cowl, yeah.
The cowl and his shortened little. Some people draw him super tall, mid. His are really small, and I'm not a big fan of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think.
You mean the pointy ears, basically, like the pointy?
Yeah, like his super small.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I still think it's really good. He's definitely one of my favorites. But
I kind of like the small pointy ear, like more modern, I guess.
I love the way he draws the talons.
The talons
are awesome.
fantastic.
I will completely agree with that. Definitely.
The way he drew them is amazing. And now I don't know who came up with the design for it, since obviously Scott Snyder invented
right.
I don't know if they collaborated on what it was supposed to look like, but the way the talons look, and then Lincoln Mark at the end.
I'm sure they collaborated to some degree, but you got to give the credit to Capullo. I mean,
yeah. The way they do that is amazing.
So it does say, just for the record, like, so you guys said you guys had the trades. I only ever had, like, I'd read it digitally, and then somewhere along the line I picked up the first trade, so I needed number 2. Well, rather than pick that up, I actually found this for cheaper, so I went with the Essential, which collects 1 through 11.
Right, which is really the storylines 1 through 11, right? Like 12. I mean, 12 to me is not necessarily part of the Court of Owls storyline.
I agree.
It's included in volume 2.
Yeah, it's just a generic introduce that character that they threw in 6.
Right, right. Cullen and what's her name?
Harper.
Yeah, Harper, right, or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. So like, her like she's credited with the first cameo appearance in issue 1. And Lincoln March is credited with a first full appearance in issue 1, I think. As far as like keynotes on CGC books and stuff like that, although Steve's the only one that has the CGC book of issue 1, so he can. Here's a chance for you to whip it out.
Are we talking CGC books here?
There you go.
We are. Oh, there it is.
I may have one.
You have one.
Nice.
So okay, here's a story for you guys. So last year, pretty much the exact same time, I went to this place in Topeka, Kansas, which is the capital of Kansas. If you guys don't know anything about Kansas, anyways. This place called Vintage Stock. It's like a half-price books or Hastings. They sell, like used everything. Well, I went in there. I was going through the bins, and I found Batman 0 through whatever, and I got issues 0 through I think it was 13 or 12. And I bought them all that day, and they're all priced at $2.99.
Wow!
And they were sitting in the bin, just in a regular bag and board. And I got the book out. I didn't even. I took it out and I put it in a Mylar, and then I just sent it to CGC, and it came back 9.8. And I also had a coupon, so I got all 0 through 12 for $28.
Damn.
Nice.
So I got really lucky. And today, I don't know if you guys saw it on Instagram, but I went to the same place, and I got Teen Titans number 12, first appearance of the Batman Who Laughs, for $1.
No way.
That never happens to me.
Like half price, like things like half price books don't exist here in the New York City area.
I've been to half price books on multiple occasions. I've never found anything.
Never found shit.
There it is.
There it is. Nice. And he still got the sticker on it.
Yeah, I left it on there so people would know that I was
All right, so let's talk about the collectability of that issue for a second. I know that.
My point, real quick, on this.
Okay,
we're talking about the design.
All right.
The back of this, it has Court of Owls, and it has sketches and character designs by Greg Capullo, and it has basically all the like different ages of the talons that he designed.
Nice.
So like 1660s, 1700s,
That's
awesome.
like 1840s, 1860s, I think.
And they didn't even end up using those, really.
Well, some of them you see during the Night of Owls. You see
just like
designs,
3 of them.
Right.
But not all of them. No.
That's dope. Yeah, that's really cool.
So it's got like, and then obviously the King Owl at the end.
I love that outfit, dude.
Yeah. So I think it is just Capullo really on those.
Yeah.
based on the way they do this, I mean, I'm sure he got notes from Snyder on what he was thinking, but I think it's mostly Capullo.
That's awesome.
And I don't believe
you.
I don't like Capullo's art. I just think his Bruce Wayne face and some of his other faces are just a generic face and not Bruce Wayne face. I guess that's just me. I'm nitpicking, but so okay, back to
that's cool. I mean, I love that kind of bonus content stuff on some of these, like, you know, essential collections or absolutes or omnibus or whatever. You know, I don't even know. I lose track of all the different terminologies.
It also includes, I think, a couple of one shots that were. I think they were one shots that came out with the Night of Owls event. It includes the Call and the Fall of House of Wayne.
Oh, cool.
Which are also included at the back of this. Which the Call is just like the part in the cave that they kind of skip over, where they figure out what the list is and they alert everybody else to go help people. So that's just a couple things that this does include, other than just 1 through 11.
So that list is among something that I was going to talk about when we get to things that I did not notice until this time.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. So I'm sorry, I completely interrupted you there, Kavi, to get back to that.
Yeah.
But,
no worries. Okay, yeah. So if you want to show the slab again, Steve, you're more than welcome to. But I just wanted to go over some quick numbers on the collectability of the issue 1 of Batman. Not only does it start the Court of Owls, but it kicks off the New 52 from 2011. And so there are 4,881 copies on the census, of which there are 2,312 blue label, there are 2,312 9.8s, and then of those, 1,495 of those are blue label 9.8 universal labels. Go collect fair market value right now is about, says it's $120, but there's a lot of sales in like the $80 range, you know, so I don't know. Maybe there's been some price fluctuation to the downside recently. I'm not entirely sure. There's a lot of sales of that book, obviously, and there's a lot of copies on the census. Now, the sketch variant, however, for issue number 1, only 495 of those exist on the census, and only 301 of those are 9.8s, and only 162 of those are universal blue labels. There's also 135 yellow label signature series, because I'm sure people are trying to get that signed by Capullo and Snyder, or you know, both preferably. And that at a CGC 9.8 sold in May for $575 in a 9.8. Yeah. So that's the one to get from a collector's standpoint. I guess that's the Grail copy of that issue. But there's a lot of variants too, of which I didn't really bother diving into all the data on the variants. I don't have any of the other variants, sketch variant included, personally. But
I have 2 copies of number 1 just because after I got mine graded.
Right, you need a reader copy.
I wanted to have another one in the run, so I had the whole reader's run. So I got another copy.
Yeah, gotta.
I will say that you're talking about whether or not it dropped. When last year when I got back in, it was one of the first books that I kind of started looking for. Mm-hmm. And just the regular cover was eBay and stuff was like $50 to $70 book then.
Raw. Yeah.
And now it's more of like a $30 to $40 book. It does seem like, and like from looking at some other information, I think that book like took off for a while, and then after Rebirth, it has just slowly kind of crept back, as it's not been, because it was the first Batman number 1 and like forever, and and it was a good story.
Yeah, I mean, New 52 is volume 2 of Batman.
Yeah.
So it you know, it had 71 years of titles before they did a new volume. So.
Right, and so that book has kind of crept back a little bit, I would say, over the last year. I don't know enough to know beyond that, but yeah, it's still a very collectible book. So
for sure. What about? So should we move on to talking about the writing? We talked about Capullo.
Anybody have any other points on Capullo before we do it? Burke?
He's one of my favorite artists, for sure. He's, in terms of covers, I would say he's top 4 or 5.
There are some really good covers in this.
There's some really good covers. I mean, we'll get to it to the end, but I had a hard time choosing my quote unquote favorite of the run of this run. There's some great ones for sure.
He's definitely my top 4 or 5, but in terms of interior art, he might be top 2 or 3.
Wow.
Even though I just said that the covers were better, I still think his interior art.
A little more competition for covers.
A little bit more, just a little bit.
Cover and an entire inside, which not a lot of artists do nowadays. I feel like a lot of the best artists everyone always thinks of is like Art Germ and J. Scott Campbell. Those guys don't ever do interior art.
Right.
So and he's someone that does, and someone that doesn't get talked about enough is Jonathan Glapion, who inked all of it.
Yeah.
Guy has to work his butt off to ink all of this stuff that Coppola does in pencil. So.
That's a good call out. That's a good call out for sure. Inkers really need more love.
So
there
were 2 other things, one of which is kind of a story thing, but the other is that we talked about the Talon design. I would like to just for a minute, and I was looking for a good page where you can see it, like talk about the mask design for the Court of Owls and how simple and yet powerful I think that mask is.
Yeah, it's almost got a horror vibe to it.
It does.
Like in a similar way that, I mean, not in as goofy of a way as like those masks in like the Scream movies are, but in a similar like approach to creating like a sense of mystery or intrigue. They also created a sense of horror, which is I think what really makes it really effective.
It kind of reminds me of like an evil version of Red Hood.
Red Hood, little bit.
Just eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, for how simple a design it is and how little you can really see of them, like, it is just very, like, it's just a really good design. I don't know how else to put it. It's just a really fantastic design, in my opinion. The other thing, and this may be kind of a story point, is the part where in the middle of the story, when he's down in the catacombs and they flip the pages.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
First it starts like sideways, and then they flip it completely upside down.
Yeah, it goes sideways first, and then they completely rotate it.
I'll be honest. Pain in my ass. I really I don't like it.
But I do think it's like, in terms of portraying how disoriented he's getting, I think it's very effective.
Just like how they change like the people turning into owls as he's fighting them. Like it's the same kind of thing. It's just making you feel more and more how he's feeling.
I just put myself into a scenario where I'm trying to read that on like an airplane, and just people are looking at me like, "What the fuck is this?"
You're turning into
yeah.
Yeah.
3 pages in a row.
Read the book upside down. I got it. It's
like
right.
This kid's reading his comic story upside down.
3 pages sideways, 3 spreads sideways, 2 spreads upside down.
Yeah. Definitely a unique choice. I mean, I wasn't picking up New 52 when it was on the shelves, so I don't know how like the comic book community like reacted to that in real time, if they thought it was cool, if they thought it was stupid, if they thought it was whatever, like they didn't even really pay attention to it or whatever. But I do find it interesting that they stick to that in the publishing and the reissues and whatnot. So that's cool. That is cool.
And that's probably a bit of a story point that Snyder and him worked out together. I'm sure that's not just him. So later, Tacoma. I see Tacoma's bailing.
Hey, Tacoma.
Before we get into the story, let's shout out the chat. We haven't done that in a while. Genome Presents. Seawood, what's going on, man? Hialeah is still hanging out. Ruben came in at some point. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. I think that's everybody that we didn't shout out the first time. All right, story. What do you guys think?
Oh, man.
Hold on 1 second. So
don't start with me.
All right, let's start with Bert. What do you got?
Well, NYC says he's unsure how the comic book community liked Batman New 52. Well, that issue that we were just talking about, that's issue number 5.
Okay.
And I don't know if you guys watched. I try to do a monthly series on the comic book market update.
Yeah.
I found a website that shows you sales and whatnot. Well, in January of 2012, Batman issue 5, which is one we just got done talking about, was number 2 on the comic book sold list for the entire month. It sold 130,492 copies.
Well, here's the thing, though. Isn't Batman always number 1 or number 2? And
Yes.
all of those were that's Diamond's sales figure. That's not how many copies of the book were sold to consumers. Yeah. So like I'm always wary of those. I mean, that's it's great context. I mean, I know that this was successful. Like, I know New 52 Batman was successful, right? Yeah. Like, I know that there were good sales figures to Diamond to the stores. I know that generally speaking, it's a widely acclaimed run, right? The Snyder Capullo run in general for New 52. I just wasn't sure about that specific thing where the pages were upside down. Like, if anybody was talking about that, or that
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I was kind of getting at. I mean, I think this is one. I mean, I don't think we would be covering it on the show if we didn't think it was one of the better runs. You know what I mean? Or one of the better stories.
It's a really good.
It's a really good story. Like, so now that we're talking about the story, like, there were things that I saw coming, but I didn't mind that I predicted them.
Right.
I read. You know what I mean? I thought it all made sense.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you think, the last couple of stories we've had with Hush and The Long Halloween, we talked about a lot of the plot holes that we found. There's a lot less in this than there was in those, by far.
Every writing is insanely good. Scott.
Yeah. Everything's pretty much tightly wrapped, tightly told here without much loose ends. So,
I think he sets up the court itself very well. I think he sets up the reveal of, the Talons, and the Talons being like all these different Talons in the buildings, and how the court has kind of stayed hidden, like in a way that makes sense. That, like, because you're like, he would have found them, but like, how could he not know about these? And I realized New 52 kind of set the time back on him, so he hadn't been Batman as long.
Yeah.
But, like, how could they have existed without him knowing? And I think they do a really good job of telling that in a way that makes sense without making Bruce look dumb.
I agree.
It could easily been done if it was told poorly, in my opinion.
I loved getting more of the sort of like inner workings of not only like Gotham and Gotham society, but just like the key players in the Wayne family, like like the having a previous murder of or quote unquote or rumored murder of a Wayne family member being incorporated into the story, having Jarvis was it Jarvis Alfred's father,
right?
Yep. Like having that whole issue where you get that backstory going from Alfred's father and things about the Wayne family.
Right, that's that.
That was my. I think that might have been my favorite. I think that might have been my favorite issue, possibly.
Oh, the Fall of the House of Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that collected from? Was that a one shot, or was that from the annual?
No, that's from.
Because in here they put it at the back. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
Which one are we talking about? The one where it's the Alfred's dad?
Yeah.
That is.
I thought that was one of the issues.
It is. Hold on. Let me find it.
Where he's trying to write Alfred the letter, and he's getting hunted by the Talon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in the back of this, and it's called. Maybe it was in the back of one of the issues.
I got it. Hold on.
No.
Yeah, these DC volumes are really just useless when it comes to like giving you the context about what issue it was. Like they just name each chapter like its own thing. You know what I mean? Right. I hate that. Just give me the actual issue number. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because this is all like chapter 2. Issue 2 is chapter 2, and it's
Yeah, it actually doesn't say because it doesn't have a cover for it.
You know what? I think it's issue 11.
It's gonna be 11 or 12.
It's. I mean, in the trade they call it My Brother's Keeper, but it's issue 11 because I know that because that's my favorite cover. Spoiler alert for the favorite covers.
Okay, that must just be a story
Yeah.
put in the back. It must have just been put in with issue 11, regular issue 11. Then.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay, here they just separate it from issue 11. They just put a
Right.
divider between it and the rest of issue 11.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's issue 11 of New 52. So, but yeah, that's probably. I mean, I love that whole backstory. That was like one of my favorite things to read.
So, what other thing? Like to me, like I think the whole, for me, from the beginning through basically his escape. So and he getting back and revealing to Dick that he was supposed to be a Talon.
Yeah.
So the first 7, is that right? Yeah, first 7 issues, I think are phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a hard time having any complaints about those first 7 issues. The complaints I have later are pretty minor, but I like those first 7 issues. I think are just extremely solid storytelling.
Amazing.
The setup of the mystery of the Court of Owls, the setup of the Talons, him getting dropped into the labyrinth, the way they try to like disorient him and hunt him, his escape and what he learns, like all of that to me is just straight out phenomenal.
He even wrote his own little poem thing that goes with the Court of Owls. Like he came up with his own little saying. That's amazing.
Yes, the whole like the children's tale or whatever the children.
Yeah, that's amazing writing.
Yeah, that's it. That adds some really, really like great depth to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's so real.
Yeah, he created more than just like the words in the panels. Like he created like that whole like universe, you know, within Batman.
I mean, you talked about the stuff with like all the backstory related to Alan Wayne.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's the name. I couldn't recall the name of the family member, but
all the details with the original Wayne Tower that he sets up with the Guardian gargoyles,
13th floor.
Yeah, there's just so much there that he does such a phenomenal job of setting up. The stuff with like the trainer when they're first like at the beginning and the details about how he figures out that he's a trainer and all. I just think it's just really well done. The reveal after the fight in the tower where the Talon like falls to its death and then like when his eyes light up in the ambulance on the way to the thing and then you just see him driving like. And this is a little bit of Capullo's art and his storytelling, but just that whole like reveal there.
So I haven't read the first issue of Last Night on Earth because I don't know what shit. I mean, I know this is totally unrelated, but this is popping into my head, so I'm just going to bring it up. Do you guys know if the new Last Night on Earth DC Black Label Snyder Capullo thing that's supposed to, I guess, continue their Batman story? Do you need to read all of New 52 Batman to like appreciate that, or is that?
I don't know.
It is mostly just the last storyline, so issues like 40 through 50 or 51. Because 52 is like it's kind of dumb. I'll be honest.
Right, okay.
But it's the last storyline. It's kind of It's
so it would be better to close out or at least read the last couple arcs of New 52.
I would actually say read the last 2 arcs. So issue 0 year through the end is what
0 year through the end. Okay.
Probably actually you probably need to read everything except for Death in the Family.
Okay. Which is the only other trade I have in New 52. beyond these two.
That stuff in the family, I don't have any of it.
Okay, you don't really understand the last storyline unless you read the one right before that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So yeah, no, that makes sense to me. I just wanted to know if like if because because it's timely because that book just came out last week, right?
Yeah.
And it's technically, it's the same team and it's supposed to be in continuity with their story. So,
It is. You could still read it without knowing a lot of it because they explain a lot of it, but it is definitely a continuation of the new.
How about this for an idea for a miniseries? Like the actual Batman's actual experience during that 7 days, like turning that 7 days into like its own like 2-issue or even a one shot. Like I would
call it the Owl's Nest.
Yeah, the Owl. There you go.
There you go. I like it.
I would love that because I feel like to me that's the only like plot hole or story hole where it's like, okay, he spent 7 days down here and gained a grumpy beard.
There's another one I think is there's another plot hole that I did see, but I didn't see earlier.
What is it?
That's at the end when he's fighting Lincoln March as the King of the Owls, or whatever his name is, and he is on the he's inside like the what is that? The motor of the
the engine, the jet engine.
Yeah, he's inside, and then all of a sudden he's on the wing. You guys notice?
Yeah, how did he get out? Yeah.
So let me see if I can find it here.
I guess that's kind of a minor complaint, but it's fine.
Yeah,
he's Batman. He just
he's here. He's inside. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, and then when people see him, he's on the wing. After
and the next page, you can't even see him because he's inside of it. And then all of a sudden, he's on the wing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of a plot hole there. Should I talk about the things that I noticed this time?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this has to do more. Well, there's two things. One has to do with writing.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there's more. I'm just going to say them all. Okay, so you guys remember what Nightwing's grandpa was named in the story?
In this story?
Yes.
No.
His name was William Cobb.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that does ring a bell. Yeah.
So then in issue 3, no, wait, is it issue 3 or issue 5? Whatever it is. I did not notice this until now. But that wall of all the names on it, there's a William on there. To go along with, there's Cobblepot and Gordon.
Yeah.
William is on there. So that's kind of like foreshadowing that. Let's see here. Issue 9, when Bruce goes to save Lincoln March because he sent a talent after himself. He says Gotham is just a dream, which I didn't realize when I read it the first few times. That goes back to issue 1 when he's talking about what Gotham is. Gotham is whatever. Gotham is Batman. Gotham is, and he's talking to all these investors at his ball, and he talks about how his parents always said to him, Gotham is a dream. And at the end of that issue 9, when he goes to save Lincoln March, he says Gotham is a dream. So that goes back to issue 1. Let's see, what else is there? Oh, that list. I did not notice it the first time when they sent it after all the people. Do you guys notice whose name was on there? There's a villain's name on there.
Oh, the list on the computer in the Batcave or whatever, that one?
Yep.
No, I don't. I mean,
I didn't look at all of them.
What issue is that again? Let
me see if I can find it here.
I know it's in the first one.
I think it's issue 8.
8?
It has to be issue 8. It's 7 or it's. I'm pretty sure.
7 or 8.
Freeze.
Victor Freeze.
Victor Freeze. Okay.
And Oswald. You look at the bottom. Oswald.
They show the name twice to even highlight it because the first time it's backwards and it's.
Yeah. Oh wait. If you get in here, you can also at the bottom you see lounge as an iceberg lounge, and then you see the start of Oswald is the very bottom name for Oswald Cobblepot.
Right.
So I did not get that the first few times I read it, and Victor Freeze is in that annual.
He's the subject of the whole annual, basically.
So that's kind of foreshadowing that. So those are a few things I did not notice until I read it last night and today. So.
Right. And they were, I guess, using Mr. Freeze like technology or whatever to
Keep the Talons sedated.
yeah, right, to keep the Talons baked, I guess, or I don't even know. I don't know what to call them. Cryo frozen, I guess.
Yep.
You know, yeah.
So we're talking about our favorite issue written.
Yeah, we're kind of getting around to that time where we do your favorite issue storyline wise or story wise or writing wise, whatever you want to call it. Favorite cover.
Yeah, I have one more little story point that
okay, yeah, sure.
One of my minor complaints, and to me it is a complaint about events in general. That's probably, and not just specifically this one.
Okay.
But annoys the crap out of me of.
Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Sure.
Gotham City, Night of Owls, 8:36 p.m. Gotham City, Night of Owls, what is it? 11:02 p.m. on the same page. And like that you have to, and then they talk about how the night is mostly a victory and all this kind of stuff after this, and you don't see any of that because you got to read all the other damn chapters and Detective and Nightwing and Batgirl and Catwoman and Robin, and it just annoys the crap out of me.
That's a valid point.
And I do feel it takes something away from this is a collected edition because it's not here in terms of how the best way to actually collect this would be. I could see not including all the other characters fighting the Talons, but I would like to see what Bruce does when he goes after Arkham. Like, I'd like to see Bruce's story all the way through the Night of Owls.
I didn't like
in this collection.
Speaking of the family, I didn't like how at the end they send the thing out to all the Bat family to go fight all those people, and they show Red Hood, but they don't have Red Hood in issue 1 when they have all the other Bat family people there. Well, they have all the other Robins there except him.
Right, but at the time he wasn't like in the New 52, he wasn't like hanging out that much. Like they were communicating, but to me that doesn't.
Not until later they were, I guess.
Yeah, I guess like to me that.
Yeah.
I didn't know because obviously I wasn't reading it at that time.
It was like a later thing.
I think
I could be wrong on that, but he wasn't really in Gotham that much, which was made it kind of odd that they show him anyway. So, but yeah.
Before we get to this last segment, I'm just going to give a final shout out to the chat. We got John's Comics with Kids here. Thanks for stopping in. John did the Hush episode with us. Good to see you. Comic Head 84, Kenny, what's going on? Mr. Miracle Comics and Bear Island Comics is here. So thanks for joining us, guys.
All right. So favorite issue.
Favorite issue.
Gotta remember
Don't
make me go first.
I'll go first. Okay, so I have 2 favorite issues.
Uh-oh.
I'll go with my main favorite issue, and that's issue 5. And it's pretty much the whole one about him being in the labyrinth, fighting the Court of Owls and the Talon, and how he's pretty much like drugged up the whole time. And that's pretty much the only reason why it's like a fair fight.
Right.
And I don't know. I just thought it was really cool.
And that's the issue we need to mine for a new miniseries called Nest of Owls.
Yes. Yes. So NYC.
I'll write it.
Came up with the idea. I came up with the name. So we get.
There you go. I get the writing credits.
50-50 royalties on that.
And then my second favorite issue is issue 2. That's when they really introduce the Court of Owls, and you first hear like all about it. Like in issue 1, they stop short of just saying Court of Owls. Like they stop it short just to make sure that they don't say it until issue 2, which is really interesting to me. But issue 2 is probably my second favorite because they introduced them, and they also introduced Bruce's skepticism of it, which is another plot point in itself.
I guess I'll go next. I'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone by saying that my favorite issue and my favorite cover is number 11. So this is the cover. I mean, that's sick, right? Like,
Yeah.
I love that cover. I mean, that's probably one of my favorite Capullo covers. And then that is the issue wherein that you get that backstory from Alfred's father. So that whole passage where he's essentially, warning his son about certain aspects of the Wayne family. And then you also kind of get really the organic resolution to the storyline there, where he acknowledges that he had a brother and lost a brother,
Right.
which I thought was pretty powerful. So I liked the wrap up to the storyline in that issue, and I also liked the backstory that you get into the Wayne family, and I love the cover also. So that's going to be my favorite, personal favorite among the run is number 11.
Should I say my favorite cover before we go to JP?
Yeah, it may as well.
Go for it.
My favorite cover, without a doubt, is issue 3, where Batman is in the Talon. Like, this artwork is tremendous. It's by far my favorite cover.
I had a really hard time picking a favorite cover, but I went with that one. But
my second favorite would probably be issue 10, and it's the same one they used for volume 2 with the wings on the back of him.
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah. But to me, this cover is the Court of Owls storyline. You know what I mean? This has everything, in my opinion.
Okay, so for me, I will say number 5 is my favorite issue when he's down in the down in there. As a side, like my second favorite is actually number 4, which is where he tells the story of when he went looking for the Court of Owls the first time, his interaction with Dick in the cave, where they're talking about it, going through it after he escapes from finding all the owl bases in the buildings and stuff. That whole setup to him getting trapped in the labyrinth. I just love the storytelling in that issue. I just think it's really good. So that would probably be my second favorite. Okay. You guys have already listed all my favorite covers.
I mean, I didn't pick a second favorite, but I would probably pick issue 5 also.
Yeah,
is my second favorite.
Yeah, I'd say it's the same.
Yeah, but I would say of the covers that you guys didn't mention, that like, because 10 and 3, and then I don't have 11 yet. I love 11. The other 2 covers, I'm just going to give a mention because I think, like I said, there's a bunch of really good ones.
That's a good one.
That's issue 4.
Yeah.
I think that is a fantastic cover. And then the other one, I think it's like it's really good. It's creepy as hell. And that is issue 6. Where he's the owl, and like that is just an effed up cover.
It's really cool.
It's really good. So those would be like kind of also in there for me. So yeah, like I looked through kind of the variants, and I didn't really see, like, they have all the variants here in the back, and I don't think any of the variants match up to the Capullo covers, in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't spend a ton of time concentrating on any of the variants. I mean, I'm sure there's some really good ones, but
any of the main variants. Let me rephrase it. The main variants is like the main
the B variants
in the back.
Right.
You don't have them all, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the volume 2 trade, they show 8 through 12 variants on the back, and some of them look cool.
No, it's not that they're bad covers. They don't. To me, they're not nearly as good as the Capullo ones.
Agreed.
These are some cool covers, I think. But you're right. You guys are right. They're not as good as.
Yeah, they're cool. They're cool, but they're not as good as the main ones. So where do we rank this fellas? As far as your personal preferences, if you had to rank them, you don't have to name your other books unless you want to for context. I mean, JP and I have done 4 episodes now, so I think people have heard us, rank some of the other storylines that we've covered. So, where do you rank it, Steve?
Bluebird.
I actually rank it number 2.
You rank it number 2.
It is my second favorite Batman storyline of all time.
Wow, high praise.
Very high praise. I love it. And the only like the writing in it, like you can tell that Scott Snyder is insanely smart.
Yeah.
All the detail that he puts in his story, all the like little panels of not talking, like him thinking to himself, like he builds, like we talked about earlier, he builds it all up, makes it feel believable. Like his writing is top notch. Like it's insanely good, and that's why I really really like it. Um, it only ranks second behind Year One, which Frank Miller.
Year One's my number one too.
Yeah, Year
so,
One is my number one too.
Yeah.
Year One is amazing. It should be everyone's favorite. So.
That's why we did it first. We couldn't think of any other book to do first.
It was the obvious first choice. For me, like I'm a little bit torn on where my list is after rereading some of these. Like what I thought my list was, I don't think it is anymore.
I know. I'm all over the place because of this show, man.
Yeah. Of the ones we've reread, I actually think I have bumped it ahead of Hush and The Long Halloween, which surprises me a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
But there's just so many holes. Like the difference in this versus those two stories is Snyder like lays out all these little clues and all this kind of stuff, and he pays off almost all of them. Like that he needs. He pays off all of them he needs to, except for the ones that are going to carry forward in the story beyond. You know, what he's telling later, but he pays off enough. Whereas sometimes, like I think Loeb threw in like little details and stuff that he had no idea where they were going or how they fit in. He just threw them in, and I think his writing like pushes this above those other two just a little bit. So I don't know that I would say it's my second favorite story overall, but I do think it's the second favorite of the four we have done. How about that?
Yes, that makes sense. What four have we done again? Remind me so I can now make up my new
Year One,
Year One, Long Halloween, Hush,
and Court of Owls.
That's right. All right, so
here, hold on one second. Here's a hot take for you. Hush is overrated.
Well, if you watch, that's kind of the conclusion that we came to in the last episode. I mean, art-wise, I don't think it's overrated. The art Jim Lee's amazing. I think it's definitely like one of Jim Lee, if not his best, one of his best works, and one of the best Batman works. That's why I have a hard time bumping it out of my top 5. You know what I mean? Like I still have that in my top 5. I think I have it at number 4 right now. Whereas it used to be number 2. You know what I mean? It used to be my number 2 right behind Year One. Now, where would I put Court of Owls? I think I still put it in that range where it could be my new number 4, and Hush gets bumped down to number 5, because I have Year One as number 1, and I still have like some profound love for Long Halloween. Like I know that we exposed some issues with that, but
Long Halloween would be.
But I love it. I still love it, even like flaws and all. So that's still, I think, my number 2. Now, just a matter of where I put Hush. Like I could go back and forth just because of how much I love the Jim Lee art in Hush. But I might sneak this into the 4th position. I like Dark Knight Rises, which we haven't covered yet. So you know what I mean. So that's also in my top 5. So I don't know. It's kind of like I think this is a strong 4 right now, and Hush has been pulled down a notch to 5 for me, and that's where I'm at right now. When we cover another story, who knows how that'll change? But
yeah, I would say
that's where I'm at.
Like before we started this, like it was probably for me it was Year One, Long Halloween, Hush, Dark Knight Returns. And I would say Dark Knight Returns, mainly because I haven't reread it yet. Right. Ahead of Hush and Long Halloween. Long Halloween is still probably this and Long Halloween would be very close for me. I'd have to think about it some more. Right now I'm leaning toward this over Long Halloween, but I could go either way, probably there. I I'm not sure Hush, if I read some other stories, will stay in my top 5. It's definitely 5th of
Right.
5 right now.
Well, I have Starlin, Death in the I always forget that's Death in the Family, and Snyder's is Death of the Family.
Death of the Family.
Yeah, okay. So I have Starlin, Death in the Family as my number 6 right now. But
I think Burke has strong feelings about that.
I just read it for the very first time, and I thought it was boo-boo.
Really,
I did not like it at all.
I like it.
I haven't. It's been a long time since I've read that one, so I
I
can't.
like it. It has been a long time for me too, so I will admit that. And I haven't read certain like more modern, like quote unquote modern storylines, whether it's like Batman White Knight or what else? I've only read like the first trade of Rebirth, so like I'm not, as far as like current Batman, I'm like way off.
Well, you don't need to know
Yeah.
anything other than Tom King sucks.
Right. Well, there you go.
Well, see,
I mean,
on that. I would not say for his whole run he has sucked. Like,
no, not the whole run, just recently.
Recently
Right.
he's fallen off.
But
Whole
he
run.
started off good. His first 20, 25 issues I thought were pretty good for the most part.
Well, 25 was just the start of the year of jokes and riddles. So
Yeah,
that goes through like 33. So
I didn't.
But, like I read Batman Who Laughs and I'm not satisfied, but I read Court of Owls and I'm super satisfied. And this is the same. It's like it's the same writer.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you read. I know a lot of people.
So,
I've never read Year Zero or whatever, and I know a lot of
Zero Year. Yeah, I never got that far into New.
And I know a lot of people do not like it nearly as
really
much
like it.
like this and Death of the Family.
Zero Year is my second favorite story arc of the New 52 Batman.
Really? More so than Death of the Family?
Death of the Family would be last or second last, in my opinion.
I think the next Batman story I'm personally going to read is Death of the Family because I have these three volumes from New 52.
Right.
And I reread the first 2 for this show, but I never actually ever read Death of the Family, so I need to read that.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
All right, so I'll probably love it.
So, Berg, did you give us your rankings? I forget. You said this was number 2. So, beyond this, where would you go? Like, you go. You said year 1. This. Then what would be next? Out of curiosity.
Yes, I have not read The Long Halloween, and I'm a big fan, so that sucks. So,
you gotta read it.
One for me, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's a great first time read. Like The Long Halloween. It's one of the better first time reads.
Yeah, like it and Hush both fell for me because I was getting nitpicky, I think, a little bit. Like in rereading. But the first time, like, I love Long Halloween. And even like when I reread it, I loved it at first. I actually reread it twice for this show, and it was the second time through that it really was like I started really noticing some of the holes. But it is so good. It's still like number 3 right now, probably on my list, or 3 or 4 at the worst right now. So
yeah, like as much as I picked holes at it or whatever, it's still number 2 on my list. So
yeah,
it's hard for me to change that one. But I think we've got a show here.
I think we have.
You guys didn't let me do my top 5.
Oh, top 5. Yeah.
Oh yeah, continue.
Yeah.
So, okay. Number 5, even though I said it wasn't that great, I really did like it the first time I read it, and that was Hush. I did really like it the first time through. The art is amazing. I liked the story. Thought it was a little too long overall, but it was a good story. Number 4, The Dark Knight Returns, 1 through 4.
Yeah.
Amazing read.
That's my number 3.
Yeah.
I actually have all of the ones I'm listing. I have them all in comic book form.
Nice. I do not have that.
Well, the next one, I'll just show you guys. I have also as a 9.8.
There we go.
9.8.
I don't know if I'm sure you guys have seen this one before. This is my 3rd favorite Batman story arc.
Oh yeah, I love that. See, here's the thing. Like, I always put that in my head as like a Joker story arc. Like, whenever I'm thinking about it, like whenever I'm thinking about my ranking on Batman, like for some reason that never comes to my mind, even though I've read it several times and I love it. You know?
It is a Joker-centric story,
Yeah.
but it is still one of my
It's a Batman story too. Yeah, it's the Batman universe.
It's my third favorite Batman story arc. And then number 2, Court of Owls, and number 1 is Year One, which I need to send off my first issue from that because it'll come back in 9/8 as well.
So just before we go off, I'll give my hot take.
Okay.
I don't like the Killing Joke very much.
You don't like Killing Joke?
I am not a fan of the Killing Joke.
I like.
So
it's so good.
We'll save that for when we do it. But I have issues.
Hey, hold on, really quick. Let me tell you a story about this. I got this guy for $33 shipped like a year ago.
Nice.
It was one of those, you know, when you like put out a bid and you just think someone's gonna outbid you. I did $26 and it was $7 shipping. So I put $1 more than 25 because people stop on like $5 increments.
Yeah.
26, and I somehow won. So $33 ship for the first print. And
nice. I want to get a 9.8 eventually back in the collection. I actually sold my 9.6 to Kenny to Comic at 84.
Oh, nice.
Like last year at some point, maybe. I think last year, maybe. I don't know. Several months ago, I sold it to him. What was I had something I was gonna say. What was I gonna say? Oh, there's some other like one-off Joker stories that I really, really enjoy. I might even enjoy more than the Killing Joke. The Brian Azzarello, Lee Bermejo Joker graphic novel or whatever. What's that?
Batman Damned?
No, not Batman Damned. Just it's called Joker.
I've seen it. I've never read that one.
Yeah, it was published in graphic novel format, I believe, not as single issues of Batman or
it's
title.
There's 2 of them, I believe.
Are there 2?
I'm pretty sure there's 2.
I just know the one. There's one that's Joker. It's like close up of his like the side of his face. You don't see his face.
Well, you see his teeth and stuff on the cover. Like, so Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo are doing Batman Damned, right? But their first Batman universe project together was Joker 2008, the graphic novel. And that's probably one of my favorite. Like if we're going to expand the list to 10, I think that one makes it into my top 10 for me. Possibly even higher up than the Killing Joke. I really like that one.
Okay, so you're right. There is not a number 2 to that, so I don't know what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but if you haven't read that one, go read that one.
About.
Yeah,
it does say Batman Damned is meant to be a spiritual sequel to the graphic novel.
There you go.
So yeah, that's the one you're talking about. I have never read that one.
I highly suggest reading that one, especially if you like the Killing Joke and you like that Joker-centric Batman story. It's like just a wild ride. Like it's like pedal to the metal, like pure Joker from start to finish. It's just really good.
Have you guys ever met Azzarello?
No.
Oh, yes, I have. What am I talking about? Yes, I have.
I met him as well. He has some social skills issues.
Really?
He's kind of a quirky guy. I didn't talk to him long. I got a signature, and then that was about it. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't say anything to me when I came up to him, and I was like, "Hey, man, I really liked your work on blah blah blah." He just looked at me and then just signed.
Yeah.
Clayman was the same way when I met him. Same thing. Just I said, "Hey, I really like your work on this blah blah blah." He just signed.
I've noticed that with a few people that I've met that have struggled with that. Like one that I thought, like the first time I met her, like that Ashley Witter, like when I met her at PlanetCon last year, I thought, man, she's kind of a bitch. She didn't like interact or even make eye contact or anything. And then this year I went back and got something signed, and she was way more personable. And I don't know if she was having a bad day or if she's just getting more comfortable with dealing with the crowds, like than she was the first time.
Right.
But Azzarello is somebody you'd think by now would be, good grief, he'd be used to it by now. So, but he didn't say much up to him either.
Yeah, I mean, I think certain creators age well and others don't when it comes to the con circuit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think some people get like
burn on it.
Burnt out over it. Yeah, I could understand that. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be on that other side of that table, like all day signing shit or
I will say that
all talking with people.
The crap he gets, Tom King was phenomenal to talk to. Like when I got him,
Right,
Dude, he is a super cool dude. I'm not
he's super cool.
like he asked me what I did for a living, and when I told him, he asked me questions about my job, and like we spent more time talking about my job than his job.
That's cool.
It's like it was really interesting. So
I'm actually really, really stoked that he's writing the New Gods movie because, I freaking loved Mr. Miracle. I mean, say what you will about Heroes in Crisis or Batman Rebirth era stuff, whether you like it or not. I mean, I haven't read enough of it. I haven't read enough of Batman Rebirth era to really make judgment on it. I personally really enjoyed Heroes in Crisis, but Mr. Miracle blew my mind last year.
Mr. Miracle.
Yeah, so so for him to be writing the characters in that universe specifically for the big screen, I'm stoked.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've beat this dead horse.
Yeah, I think so.
Anything else before we? Anything you want to plug before we get off?
Plug it away. Plug it up, Steve.
Tomorrow, every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Chino Comics and More YouTube. Talk about the new comics that come out every Wednesday. We preview them, talk about which ones we're going to pick up, what covers we like, all of that.
Any book emerging to the top of your list this week? Just a quick preview of your choices.
Yeah, I had to let me pull up the list really quick. There is 2 books that I really am looking forward to. Batman Who Laughs, number 6, Scott Snyder, killing it again. And Flash 72. That's the Flash Year 1 storyline, and I'm loving it.
I know that there's two Image number 1s out this week. I forget the name of the books, like Sonata, I think, number 1, and then Ride
Burning Desire, number 1.
Yeah, and that one has an Adam Hughes cover, so I had Midtown pull those for me. Definitely am pulling Batman Who Laughs number 6. Even though I'm not enjoying that as much as I hoped I would, it's still entertaining. So I do plan on continuing that book. And then there's a few other books out this week, like way too many Spider-Man books or whatever. But what's up?
Silver Surfer Black.
Silver Surfer Black. That's the other one also. Yeah, that's a good one. Donny Cates, right? With a shit ton of variants, of which I'm not going to bite on any of them. Just give me cover A. I'll call it a day. As for me, I don't really have anything to promote. I'm moving on Thursday, and I may have internet by the weekend. We shall see. So
I think unboxing tomorrow.
What's up?
Unboxing tomorrow?
I think I'm going to do a CGC unboxing tomorrow.
Oh, is it finally come?
Very nice.
Nice.
What did you think, JP?
It finally came?
It says it's supposed to be here tomorrow. We'll see if it shows up. And if it does, I'll go over the other books that I got today at that vintage stock place. And in addition to this, I'll show the other books I got as well.
Nice. I may randomly go live Wednesday night on my channel to do one final video or stream from this location, because after that, say goodbye to this dreary backdrop behind me for a new dreary backdrop behind me. And then if I have internet by the time Sunday rolls around, like we do most Sundays, I'll be with the Direct Edition Squad peeps on that channel on Sunday night. So that's what I have. And then Jason and I need to figure out what book we're doing next and when on this show. So
yeah. We'll have to figure that out. We can do that after.
Yeah, let's do it after.
I have obviously the look back will be on again Saturday. I plan to do a Sunday live stream. Depending on what my work schedule does this week, the Boyhood 7 and I should be back this week with another Collecting Smart, or next Monday, basically in this time slot. But my work schedule may throw that off, so I got to figure that out in the next 2 days so I can let him know. But other than that, I don't know that I will be on anymore this week. So, and then obviously the next time we do the Gotham City Chronicles 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. I don't know how we go sometimes on this, but I think we've been pretty consistent with
I think we've kind of been giving us at least one more week than the standard like 2 weeks, like every other week.
Consistently
Just
3 weeks, I think.
Because I mean, unless we're gonna pick like a 4-issue arc, 3 weeks is kind of the perfect amount of time to like read it comfortably, potentially even reread it if need be, or or just take look at particular sections more than once or whatever. So I think that's like the perfect time frame. So I'd be down to do one in about 3 weeks. We just got to figure out what book.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us, and we will catch you next time.
Later, everybody. Ooh, nice.
What are you
nice
doing?
Dark Knight Rises set. There you go.
Very good.
Returns rather, not Rises. I was confused.
All right.
Later, guys.